So today we're having a look at the Breville Barista Express coffee machine. I've had this for about 3 years now, so I'm going to give you my honest thoughts and some pros and cons of the actual unit itself. This, in my opinion, overall is an excellent coffee machine, but it does have some drawbacks that we'll talk about, and I'll take you through all of those. So starting off with the pros, love the fact that it comes with the internal coffee grinder. So all you do is you put your beans in up the top here, you push your portafilter in, and it will grind your coffee depending on the amount of grind that you've got in and the coarseness or fineness of the grind that you've got set on the side here. So it's really customizable to the type of beans that you're using, and there's also another customizable grind setting that you can set up inside here as well. Biggest pro of this machine is the great coffee you get from this once you've actually got it set up correctly. I find the coffee out of this is the same as if you were to go to a professional coffee shop. So really love the coffee. Another pro is you've got your milk frother here on the side, so you can turn this handle towards you to create steam, which then heats up your milk and froths your milk, or you turn it the other way to get hot water coming directly out, or if you want to make a tea, etc., you can use that for this as well. Also love the fact that it's just fully customizable, so you can change between single shot, double shot, change your grind amount, your coarseness. You can even set it up to 1 cup, 2 cup. It'll tell you when you need to descale the machine and when you're using your hot water, and it's really quite easy to descale the machine as well. Comes with all those settings in the box. So another great feature is that if you don't have the best water in your house, you can buy these little filters which go into the bottom here. You basically swap these filters out so you get the best tasting coffee because the water is getting filtered through this. So if you already have good filtered water at home, you probably don't need to worry about that as much, but it gives you all the instructions on how to swap them over and the cleaning cycle on the back here as well. So let's talk about some of the cons. Initially, this tamper that it comes with, it just slides up in here as a magnet. This here isn't the best tamper in the world. It's quite light, and you probably want to invest in a decent tamper that's got a bit of weight behind it, so you get the best part press down into your portafilter. The other thing to note is that the internal grinder is a bit noisy. If you are the first person up in the morning and you want to make a coffee, you're probably going to wake a few people up if you've got an open plan house because the grind is quite loud. So I'll give you a demo of that right now. So the next con is that it can be a little bit messy. You know, you're pulling this portafilter out, you've got a heaped coffee there, you need to press that down. So that's where something like a knot box comes in really handy, where you can place that over so that when you do press down with your tamper, you don't make as much mess. But you will notice that you get coffee that you're constantly sort of cleaning up because it does get everywhere. The next con is only a con if you don't like cleaning, but yeah, it basically, because it is a bit messy, you do need to descale this machine when the light comes on. Often when you're frothing milk, if you don't get all that off, you need to constantly clean this. And yeah, there is a bit of cleaning involved to make sure that your machine looks good and you don't have coffee grinds everywhere. The other thing is it's going to take you some time to learn the machine, to get your grind correct, to get your grind amount correct, to make sure that when you're making a coffee, you're getting the right pressure. So all those things take time, and you might find that you waste, 3 or 4 cups of coffee to make sure that you've got your machine set up correctly. There's plenty of tutorials on how to do that, but yeah, you do waste a bit of coffee in getting the machine set up, but that's just the nature of these types of machines. It is a single boiler machine as well, so you don't have the advantage of some machines that have the dual boiler, which means that you can heat your milk up quicker and have a more consistent temperature for your coffee. So it's a single boiler machine, but that doesn't bother me at all. Probably the last thing I'll mention is that with the black model in particular, when you're loading your coffee onto the machine, you will nick some paint off here. I've actually had this professionally resprayed because it was really bad before, but you'll notice that there's slight chips of paint still coming off, from when you're putting your cups in. So if you get the stainless steel version, you won't see that as much, but on the black variant, I have noticed that, the paint does start to chip off down the bottom. If you want to get really professional, you also want to weigh your coffee for the first few times until you've got your grind amount and grind set correctly. And then when you're ready to go, it's as simple as pressing the button. There we have some really nice coffee in there. Milk is really easy to do. So I hold it on a little bit of an angle until you start to see spinning round in a circle. And then you can hold your hand under the bottom until you feel that it is too hot to touch, and then you probably know that your milk is at the right temperature. You can see how much the milk has frothed up and raised. So I'm no good with the patterns on the top, but I think you can see that that is a really nice looking cup of coffee. So there you go, the Breville Barista Express. That is my honest thoughts after having this machine for 3 years. If you really like nice tasting coffee, then you can't go wrong with one of these. I don't mind that it's a single boiler. It does everything that I need it to do. I love the grind amount. Once you've got that set to the right setting and the grind on the side, you don't really need to change it unless you change the type of beans that you're putting into the hopper. And to counter the mess that I talked about, it's pretty important that you get sort of one of these knock boxes where you can dump that used coffee into the knock box to save on the mess. But yeah, it is one of those things where you'll be constantly sort of cleaning up after you've made a coffee, but I think it's worth it in the long run if you like really good tasting coffee. So the Breville Barista Express from me is a highly recommended, and I really mean that. We use this every single day, and if you're in the market for a coffee machine that lets you make pro tasting coffee, then like I said, you can't go wrong with one of these.